Where's Mr. Luke Stokes? Come on down. Let me get a round of applause, Mr. Luke Stokes. Woo. Welcome, Mr. Stokes.
Thanks for having me. Thank you so much for having me. You guys are amazing to see, like, all these crypto OGs. You can look around the room. This is amazing.
Tough to follow that one, huh?
Impossible.
Fuck, man. I didn't mean for that to go down like that. But with that being said, let's talk, my man. For those of you who don't know, Mr. Luke Stokes is a very good friend of mine, man. One of the best examples of a human being that I know on this planet. I know tens of thousands of people, man. I don't say anything, and I don't give compliments lightly. And like I just finished saying to this brother right here, I don't kiss anybody's ass. So if I tell you that, I mean it. Out of all the men I know in my life, he's probably one of the ones who has his compass set in the right direction for moral and ethical fiber, and that I appreciate. And I also appreciate that the efforts and the work that you put into our industry, and I know that with having that moral and that ethical base, that I know that whatever you're delivering, I know that it starts there. So why don't you tell them a little bit about who you are first and foremost, a little bit about your background and what you're doing currently with FIO.
Thank you very much, Pedro. I appreciate that. My name is Luke Stokes. I'm the managing director for the Foundation for Inter-Wallet Operability, or FIO. I live here with my wife and 3 kids. We're in Caguas. We've been here coming up almost 2 years.
Shout out to Miss Stokes. We love you, baby girl.
She's awesome. She's amazing. So I got a tech background. I ran a company called FoxyCart. It was an e-commerce shopping cart for about 10 years. And I sold it back to my business partner in 2018 because I wanted to be that revolutionary like you're talking about. I wanted to take down the Federal Reserve. I wanted to do something significant with my life. And I've been involved in the blockchain space since 2013. And I just realized, like, I need to sell my business so I can focus full-time on consulting and advising in this space. And so I was doing that for about a year, came about this project. So FIO's not my brainchild, but it's something I saw, and I said, this is gonna help make the world a better place. This is gonna help make a world we all wanna live in. And the fundamental idea is making crypto easier so everyday people can use it. You know, those billion unbanked people I heard so much about that got me so excited about this industry. So I just, as I was doing all these different consulting and advising things, eventually got to the point where I was like, I have to get involved in this project. But I didn't want another job. I already sold my business. You know, I don't want to get involved in other things. So I'll give you part-time. I'll give you, half my time while I'm still doing other cool stuff. And it just kept getting more and more interesting, And then eventually they made me the chief decentralization officer. And then through that, in December of last year, was like, we need a managing director for the nonprofit. And the board was looking for someone, and they said, it's kind of your role already. Why don't you step up and do that? And I said, well, okay, we'll do it part-time. But of course, it just has been consuming me because it's a really exciting project. And I think it actually can make a difference because I do believe cryptocurrency mass adoption is inevitable. As I studied this, it's the best ledger ever invented, therefore the best form of money ever invented. And it's also really hard to use. I've been in this space for a while. I'm a technologist. When I try to introduce people to it, it's like, what are these big crazy hashes? How can I request funds from people? How do I even know what this transaction was about? It's very confusing. It feels unsafe. It's not a joyful process to check all these little characters and make sure you don't screw up because they know if you screw up, it's gone forever, And so, yeah, we can get into that a little bit, but it's something that I believe in. So I eventually said, okay, this is what's set before me. This is what I'm going to do because I think this can actually create a world we want to live in.
And what does exactly FIO stand for, sir?
So FIO is the Foundation for Inter-Wallet Operability. And essentially, it is a blockchain. Actually, I remember meeting Nick about a year ago in Miami. We were talking about it as an idea back then. It's now a launched blockchain. It launched in March.
Wasn't at the Bitcoin Center, huh? Shout out to Erica Gemma. That's my sister.
Very cool. And it basically is a usability layer for all of cryptocurrency. And it kind of is based on a couple assumptions. That one, mass adoption is happening. It's going to happen. It's inevitable. But two, it's probably not going to be just one chain. I know some people are very convinced it's just going to be Bitcoin, and they may be right. But there may be dozens. And it's probably not going to be the 5,000 we have today. But there's probably going to be dozens of blockchains, cryptocurrencies, NFT assets, online voting, whatever it ends up looking like, that are going to need tokenized assets and digital assets that are trusted, that don't have a single point of failure. Decentralization is on a spectrum, but no single point of failure. And so when I look at this, I say, okay, there's probably going to be a number of them, and they all have different confusing processes, different wallet address formats, different processes to send and receive cryptocurrency, and it's really difficult. So we have this inevitable motion of adoption coming, but we have this hindrance of confusion and frustration, and just it doesn't feel good. PayPal, Venmo, that feels good, but it's centralized, and you could be censored, and they're hooked into the Federal Reserve System like we were talking about. So we needed a decentralized way to solve this problem. I'm not okay with just solving this problem with a centralized thing, because that defeats the entire purpose of cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. If I just want a digital technology, I can go use, US dollars. Most of those are digital, and I can transfer back and forth between my bank accounts. Why are we doing this if we don't care about our fundamental ideals of self-sovereign control of your own store of value? That's what this is all about. So when I saw this project, it's a way to replace all these confusing addresses for any blockchain and any token with a human readable address like Luke@Stokes. And on top of that, it's not just wallet naming. You can provide an experience that's joyful. I can request a payment from someone and say, hey, let's split lunch. And in your wallet, you get this nice request, and it shows up and it says, oh, okay, Luke@Stokes is requesting $10 in Bitcoin, and here's the memo about it. Any blockchain, even blockchains that don't support memos, you embed that encrypted message between those two parties. No one else can know the token amount or the chain they used or the memo for lunch, and I just swipe my thumb and say, yep, that's good. And when we started, it was just an idea, and now we're in 12 different projects, fully embedded with the FIO protocol. So that includes just Edge Wallet, Infinito Wallet, Mycelium, Konomi, Shapeshift, fully integrated, Bitmax, Garda, desktop wallet. So if you check out Crypto Monday San Juan, the Telegram group, as I was sitting and listening, I know a lot of you on your phones, and that's cool. Go check out the Telegram, and I put a little message in there. If you want, you can experience FIO right now. You can go ahead and download any of the wallets that support FIO protocol. And I listed like Infinito, Edge, and Shapeshift are probably good ones. Get yourself a FIO address. And while we're talking, you can send me a FIO request for like $5 in FIO tokens. That's just what I have available at the moment. And then come show me later. And I'll accept the request. I'll show you the process, and you can get some crypto in a really joyful experience. Because if we build all this cool stuff and it's still too hard, we're not going to get the masses. We're not going to get our Puerto Rican brothers and sisters here to use it, because they're just like, this is too confusing. I can't understand it. It's too hard. Cryptocurrency is this weird nerd internet money stuff that normal people don't use. And when they think of public addresses, they're just like, that's scary. And we got to fix that, because this can bring freedom to the world.
I want to know if I can get them $5 too, bro.
Absolutely, man.
So with that being said, I like the idea of having a simple wallet, right? Because I don't know if you guys realize, right? The internet's been around a lot longer than most people realize. And the reason why nobody used it was because it's fucking hard to use, man. It's complicated. Like you said, only the nerds used it. And even at the time, hardware was expensive as well. It was another hurdle where, most people couldn't afford computers, or let alone modems, and be online. And then the service monthly, right? So once, certain things change, right? Browsers, right? Email, right? And then, these types of innovations came about, is when, that tipping point came where immediately, right? It was like the percentage of people that were using the internet skyrocketed, right? And then broadband came along. And once broadband came along, and it made it easy for you to do things that you was comfortable and familiar with, like watch videos, right? And see things and presentations, because people are lazy as shit, right? So they don't really want to read all day. Most people don't, right? That's why the internet blew up. So when I see projects like yours, where I see where it's making something that works easy, and I think that in our industry, we spent a lot of time trying to educate people, right? There was a lot of time spent in 2017 and 2018 where projects were going out there and trying to educate consumers and trying to sell them something on the back end, and that never works, right? So the truth is, nobody cares how this shit works. Nobody knows how your email works. Nobody knows how Google works. They just want it to work. So I love what you're doing with that, and hopefully we can see you penetrating some more markets and getting some more users under your belt. So why don't you tell the people how you can find you, Luke?
You can find me at Luke Stokes, or you can find us at Join FIO on Twitter. I'm also on Telegram as Luke Stokes. And again, Pedro, I really appreciate it. I know you don't just bring any project up here to talk about it. Shout out to Scott Walker and others who literally asked me to come. I want Luke on there. I want Luke talked about FIO. I so appreciate my friends that have told me they came tonight.
We got questions for you. Don't go nowhere.
I'm not going anywhere. Because there's been so much amazing support for what we're trying to do. Again, because the people believe in these fundamental blockchain rights of like self-sovereign control of your own store of value. We have to be able to do this right, or it could become a problem. Everything we've worked so hard to create a decentralized self-sovereign store of value could be co-opted, essentially. If we start introducing these usability layers that introduce the ability to censor someone's transaction, that introduce the ability to take control of their value. And that's why we have to do this right. We have to be aware, and we have to be conscious when we do it. And so it's a nonprofit entity. I get paid, and other people are getting paid through the funds we're able to raise, and of course that comes through the people supporting the project, and also through what we're trying to do. And again, it's just exciting in the community as well to see a dozen integrated projects already, and the project's not even a year old. So if you have connections in the network, you've got people that are running exchanges, they're running wallets, and they believe in usability, and they want it done in a decentralized way, please have them contact me. I'd love to connect with them. Chances are we've probably already had some conversation with them already. And I want to be able to get this to be an industry standard that everyone can get behind. And if they want to get more involved, if they want to be on the board of directors, if they want to be a block producer, a validator of the chain, they have that opportunity, because this isn't just something that we're doing, it's something we're all doing, that we can all be a part of. Because there's any project that's just owned by one company is the old model. The new model is a decentralized autonomous consortia, and that's what we're building. It's so that everyone can participate, everyone can be part of the governance, everyone can be part of the future of it as it evolves over time. Because if it's just a group of us, we're never going to be as smart as all of us.
And just remember, tell them Blockchain Pedro sent you. Very important. I forgot to mention that for geotax as well. Make sure you mention Blockchain Pedro sent you.
Shout out to Blockchain Pedro. Can I get a round of applause for this man? Because he never asked for it. Come on now. Hey. We're able to connect as a community because of Pedro's love for Puerto Rico and for all of us. And I really appreciate you, brother.
I want y'all to know I do it for the people, man, but I love you anyway. So with that being said, let's get some questions for Mr. Luke Stokes. Questions? Anybody got questions? We got it. Oh, of course, Mr. Nat.
Hi there. And also shout out to Leslie for cooking all this amazing food for us tonight.
Yes.
Thank you so much for bringing that. So Michael. Yeah.
And Integro Foundation for supporting. Integro Foundation is an amazing nonprofit that my wife and I support. Lauren may have already left. I will pitch it. I don't mind. It's a great organization that's trying to organize nonprofits here in Puerto Rico.
I've got to make sure that I give a shout out to Miss Lauren Slade and the Integro Foundation. I want to do this very intentionally, very specific. You guys who are Act 22, Act 60 members, you need to have a donation of at least $5,000, if not $10,000 if you're Act 60. Integro Foundation has 100% pass-through, no administration fees. They do tremendous work by identifying various nonprofits that do the most impact on the island with the least amount of money. And I know personally that Lauren Slade has done a phenomenal job at ingratiating herself into our community. And when I say our, I mean Nuestra Isla, Puerto Rico. She's not Puerto Rican, and I promise you she's done a tremendous job of going all over this island and finding all the people that are making tremendous amounts of impact. So I personally want you guys to basically, if you got to donate this money, make sure you donate through the Integro Foundation. It's 100% pass-through. They have gone through everybody that's on Integro's list for possible donations are charities that have already been vetted. They're not just sitting there and your money's not going to go to waste, and you have an opportunity to communicate with the founders and such. So please go see Lauren Slade at Integro Foundation when you get ready to make your donations.
And now, there's flyers here as well on some of the tables.
Yes, there's flyers on the table back here. Now, Nat, what's your question?
So you talked about dozens of blockchains. Are you talking about dozens of public blockchains or dozens of public and private blockchains? Is your perspective on what the future will hold?
That's a great question. I think that asking, about the number of private blockchains is kind of like asking how many installations of MySQL are there going to be? Like, well, yeah, how many people need, integrity in their data? How many people have to work with other vendors that they need to trust nobody's screwing around with the information? How many people have departments all over the world within their corporation that they have to be able to transfer information in a shared open standard? So I do think because of even the coordination problem in game theory, there's going to be a ton of value in, and I didn't always think this way, but I think there's going to be a ton of value in private blockchains. So that's going to be a huge number. I specifically am interested in public blockchains. How many of those are going to be actually useful? And I don't think there's going to be as many as we have today. I think a lot of those projects, especially proof of work.
There's thousands right now, bro. Of course,
there's thousands and thousands, and really a lot of them are doing what others are doing, and it's just these are all about the network effect, and we understand that directly with FIO.
I want to butt in really fast. Don't send me a project to look at, a white paper, a pitch deck, unless you have what's called a value add. research your industry and see if 60 other people are already doing or already done what you did. Please. Thank you.
That's part of what we did in building this. Early on, they researched 20-something blockchains, and I got to see that research before I came on as a consultant because I was like, why are you building a blockchain? It convinced me that you need a blockchain. And then it was like, okay, convince me you can't build on an existing blockchain. And again, they did their due diligence, and they convinced me, like, at the time in early 2018, it was like this particular blockchain technology was the one that can make this happen. It has the performance, has the scalability and everything else, and could be heavily modified to get rid of staking and all the confusing things that make it hard to use. So I was like, okay, it makes sense.
Next question. Any other question for Mr. Luke Stokes? All right, you guys, we've been up here for a long-ass time, man. Let me get a round of applause for Crypto Mondays San Juan. Thank you so much to all my guests. Let me get a round of applause for Mr. Luke Stokes.